Welcome to the Science and Spirituality Podcast, where we dive deep into universal spiritual principles and ground them in modern science. My name is Chris Carden.
And my name is Kevin Carden. And we are committed to simplifying the spiritual side of success for you with easy to understand scientific research so you could walk away with practical tools to create radical transformations in your life. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of the Science and Spirituality Podcast. In this episode, we're going to dive into really quick the link between science and spirituality, because there is a definite link, and there's our mental faculties, which is the link between the infinite side of our nature and the finite side of our nature. And we're going to talk about that more. And the reason we're setting this up is because over the next 6 weeks, we're going to go into each of the mental faculties in depth so that you can understand how to use these in your life to effectively navigate that cross between science and spirituality. In other words, your finite nature, your humanness, and your spiritual nature, or your infinite nature. In other words, your soul, your spirit, where ideas really come from and how those are linked. So we're going to touch on that really quick.
Yeah, Kev, what are the 6 mental faculties? Do you know them off the top of your head?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
it's
sweet.
Imagination, intuition, will, reason, perception, and memory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you've been a listener for this podcast since the beginning, we've touched on a lot of those mental faculties here and there in specific episodes. And it really is the crux of what we talk about in this podcast, is that navigation between the spirituality, the spirit of your nature, and the physical part of your nature. Like, we are spiritual beings having human experiences. And I think this idea of the split between science and spirituality kind of started like way back, when spirituality, I think, started first, because people were trying to figure out what was going on and make sense of their reality, but they didn't have the scientific tools and the scientific methods to actually test these things. So again, that bridge is just really important. And it really can help you get through difficult times when you're stuck. Because a lot of times when we feel stuck, we feel like we're never going to be able to change our physical reality. We're never going to be able to change the way that we feel. That's like the science. Like, we feel like we're grounded in this way we feel because our nervous systems are responding to the environment. And when we use these mental faculties, and specifically the imagination one, which is the one I'm thinking about in my head, we can imagine a different future for ourselves. And when we imagine a different future for ourselves, we can literally change our physiology in the present now. And so that's just kind of a little taste of that crux between the science and spirituality portion of it. And which is why we want to dedicate the next 6 episodes to speaking to each of the faculties that you and I, every human being, has to navigate this field, because we believe it's super important. And the main portion too of like personal development and really transcending your current experience and being able to build a life different than the current one you have now.
Exactly. And you used a specific word that was literally ringing in my mind as you were speaking. At the very end, you used it: transcend.
Mm-hmm.
This whole experience is working on transcending the current reality, the current state reality, which is literally just an effect of everything going on in our mind, everything that is flowing through our consciousness by means of those 6 mental faculties. And once you learn to use your mental faculties in a more effective way, you can literally change any result that you want. So it's, like you said, extremely important.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I was just wanted to touch really quick as well, is that everyone who's listening now is already using these mental faculties, whether they realize it or not.
Exactly.
And so the whole point of the next 6 episodes, and also just on the undertone of all of our podcast episodes, is bringing awareness to the fact that you have these and that they're running in the background, whether you realize it or not. So you might as well realize it's happening and use it to your advantage to really bring about the life that you love living. Yeah.
Exactly. An example is like imagination, as you mentioned, which is the first one we probably will talk about, is most people use their imagination to terrorize themselves. They fear what could go wrong, or like a parent is like thinking about their kids out. It's, the kid is out until like 10, 11, 12 at night. And the parent is thinking like them, like in a ditch somewhere. When they come home, it's like, yeah, sorry, my phone died and the movie went late. Like, it started late. I don't know, like some simple example like that. But we tend to use our imagination in a way that actually constricts our life rather than expands our life. And it's the same for all 6 mental faculties. We can use each for good and expansion in our life or for detriment. And so once we bring our conscious awareness to them and understand how they work, then you could use them to improve your life. And so that's what we're going to cover in these.
Awesome. Yeah. And then even just in that small example you just gave right there is like science and the science part of it is the mother being worried. That's a survival mechanism. Like that's a normal thing to feel when your kid's out late. But then the spirituality comes in when you can actually reimagine what's actually happening to make your nervous system calm down. You can feel better.
Yeah.
And not terrorize yourself, like you said before. And so, again, as we go through all the mental faculties, we're going to give specific examples like that about this interaction between the spirit side of your nature and then your physical body too, and how you can navigate that better.
Yeah.
To live better, be happy.
Yeah, exactly. And I imagine that the science and spirituality bridge like that, like, I mean, these 6 mental faculties are at that point, that intersection point. But if you imagine, like, this is just an illustration you can imagine of what this means, like the difference between science and spirituality and where they meet is like a living cross. You imagine that your infinite side of your nature is the vertical. Is that y-axis, right?
Yeah.
Going up and down. And that's literally your infinite side of your nature. You're an eternal soul. Because think about it. Where were you before you were born? And where will you go after you die? Bring a little bit of science into it is that we are all energy. That's all we ever are. And energy cannot be created or destroyed. So it can only transmute and change forms. And so we are eternally here. We're souls that are eternal. We're alive. And we are now experiencing our life in the human realm, which is the x-axis or the horizontal. And there's a beginning date to our life and an end date to our life. There's a birth and death. And we imagine that, our death date is way out into the future, into the imaginal realm. And so this connection point is in the present moment, and it's through our mind. It's through our 6 mental faculties. And again, when we use them well, we can allow this infinite side of our nature, that spiritual energy flowing into and through our consciousness, to manifest what we want in the physical realm, in our human finite experience. And we all have that capacity. And so it's just extremely powerful. And so I highly encourage you to mark this down on your calendar. It's going to come out every Tuesday moving forward for these next episodes for the 6 mental faculties. So get ready.
Yeah, stay tuned for those. And we're going to be really excited to talk to you about those as well. And really, it's important because we're going to be teaching you the tools that you have innately to navigate the physical experience we call life better. And so that's really important. So like Kevin said, stay tuned for the next 6 episodes. Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to be releasing them, and we're excited to bring you these and, share what we've, read about and learned about through our own experiences with you.
Exactly. And if you feel guided to, if you have any questions about any of these 6 mental faculties that we mentioned, I'll list them one more time. Please message us or email us and let us know so that we can cover those in these episodes as we create them. So the 6 mental faculties again, and we'll put this in the description, is imagination, intuition, will, perception, memory, and reason. So any questions you have about any of those, feel free to submit them and we will answer those on these podcast episodes. All right. Talk to y'all soon. That's it for today. So thanks for tuning in, and we really hope you enjoyed listening to this episode as much as we enjoyed recording it. So any questions, any comments, just connect with us on Instagram. You could always DM us at Kevin Francis Carton
and at Chris J. Carton. And also, if you feel guided to, the one thing we do ask is for you to please rate the podcast and leave us a review. This way we can reach more people and impact more lives with this amazing information. With that, we'll see you on the next episode.